What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here. The winter break is over and the Premier League is back this weekend. Tottenham go away to Aston Villa on Sunday. I think it's a 4:30 kickoff. I'm joined with George, Aston Villa fan. How you doing? Welcome to the channel.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, how are you feeling about this game? You excited for the game? You wary?
Yeah, I think excited more than anything.
Yeah.
I think that I'm glad that this so-called winter break's over, but it came at a good time for us though. Losing to Bournemouth, tough defeat to take as well against a team that really, when you're in a relegation battle, you need to be picking up points against them. But now excited for the game and hoping that we can get some points. It's
a weird one for Villa because I thought that. Well, let's go all the way back to the summer because obviously you made a lot of signings, and I was thinking that maybe it was going to be a bit similar to Fulham last season in the Premier League, where you made a lot of signings, it wouldn't really click, but you actually seemed to click straight away, and you had a great start to the season. I remember when you played us, when you came to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, you were probably the better side that day, but we kind of sneaked it last 20 minutes. Then you've had a lot of injury problems, haven't you? And then you've kind of fallen away. How do you see your season?
Yeah, like you said, I think people have said that we're doing a Fulham as such, and we made a lot of signings. I think when you look at it, I think throughout the transfer window there was a lot of players that we were linked with, such as Ben Rama from Brentford. But I think the way that we looked at it was he was going to cost us plus £20 million, whereas we looked at getting El Ghazi and Trezeguet in for a combined value of that. So, and people forget as well that we did release many players in the summer, so we needed to get these players in. We did start to click well. And it is a funny story. I mean, like, if you say we don't lose Tyrone Mings for a month, we don't lose John McGinn for near enough half of our season, probably, it might be completely different. But at the moment, we're in the position that we're in, and we've just got to try and get out of it.
So obviously, has it taken an upturn in very recently, or is it still are you still in that kind of rut that you were kind of around like December, January time?
Yeah, December was a tough month for us. I mean, we started off okay, saw some good signs, but the formation really wasn't working, and we were conceding a hell of a lot of goals as well in that month. And you just thought, I think the Man City game as well was a really difficult one. That was in January. But we started to play this 4 at the back, and we played that throughout the whole season. It just wasn't working. And we went away to Burnley on New Year's Day, really early game that was. Can't believe I still went. But all of a sudden, I remember I was there, and there was a lot of fans going, "Oh, look at this team," and we changed it completely to 5 at the back. And I thought, it was a bit odd, really, because there's a couple of players in the team that I thought, well, he's not going to be suited to that formation. This isn't going to work. But it's probably been our best performance of the season. I mean, we went to Burnley, who were an established Premier League team, and I felt that was the turning point in our season. We got there, we ground out a win. But then, again, Wesley gets injured, your striker, and he scores in that game, went so many months without a goal, finally gets in. You think this is going to be the turning point for him as well. But getting injured, and then you've got your next games coming up, and then you beat Watford in the last minute, and after that game I thought that was really going to be the turning point in our season. And going on to the Bournemouth game, obviously getting to the final of the Cup as well, I thought the confidence is going to be so high, surely they're going to be so up for this game, and it was really, really flat. It just really was, and we weren't good, and on the day we probably got what we deserved, I think.
Well, obviously, I say that you're in a bit of a rut, but you've got a League Cup final. You're going to Wembley.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good day to look forward to. I mean, you're playing Man City, which isn't
let me remind you, Wigan beat Man City in a cup final once.
That's all I'm looking for, and hopefully I'm going to be like you next season and going on the European away days. But like, if you were to rate our season out of a 10, I mean, you'd probably give it a 5, but then for us, I'd give it a 6 because of the cup final. We got something to look forward to. It's another thing where it really is just whoever's better on the day. Look, everyone's going to be banking Man City to win that game.
Of course,
and
but everyone was backing Leicester to win.
Then again, that's the thing. You never know what's going to happen. It's a one-off game. I'll be going there expecting us to lose, but you never know. Whoever's better on the day, we might do a Wigan. We might just nick it 1-0.
Would you rather win the League Cup or stay up?
That's such a tough question, because for me, I speak to my family all the time. I speak to my mum, Villa fan, and she says, "Oh, you stay up." But the position where like football's in these days, I don't think I'm ever going to see a better chance for my club to win a domestic competition. And I really don't know, because if we win, we go into Europe, which has obviously been my dream of going and supporting Villa in Europe. But looking on it, probably safety. You'd have to take it because it's such a big thing to be in the Premier League and the attraction of players that you can get. I mean, if we drop down to the Championship, you're looking again at players in the Premier League that aren't playing. Whereas and also Championship quality players, where if we stay up, you can be looking at the best Championship players and even Premier League players that are starting for their clubs. So I'd probably just take safety.
And obviously, if you were to go down, then that's looking like you'll probably lose a player within Jack Grealish. That was probably, he was nailed on to join Spurs a couple of summers ago.
Yeah.
That was a Daniel Levy absolute masterclass. What happened there? Apparently everything was absolutely done. The papers were signed, and then you were in a bit of financial trouble. So Daniel Levy tried to capitalise on that, and then you got taken over. And then they stuck their two fingers up at Daniel Levy, pretty much. You must have been absolutely delighted he stayed, because he's been absolute revelation for you this season.
Yeah, I remember being at that game. It was Hull, and he just ran the show in that game. First game of the season, won it 3-1. I remember he got substituted quite late on, and the way he looked at the fans and waved, and I just thought, that's it, he's off. And I remember that week Tottenham had offered £3 million plus Josh Onomah to sign him, and I thought at the time, I remember when Josh Onomah first came to us, he was quite good, but towards the end it didn't work out for him. And I think that if Tottenham would have gone in with the 25 million asking price straight away, you would have got him. 100%. Because at that point we were in such financial trouble, but the new owners came in and we are 1 year ahead of schedule. They didn't expect us to get promoted last season, but we did, because we went on an amazing 10-game record winning streak. But I thought he would be gone, and then obviously later on in that week the club came out and said that the owners want to make a statement, they don't want to sell him. And really, that playoff final was the last straw. If we wouldn't have gone up, he would have been gone, and he would have been gone for the same sort of price we were asking for him. But now, I mean, I hear all this talk about, Jack Grealish just dives, just does that. Once you see him live, you understand just how talented of a player he is. And if we lose him, it would be very difficult to replace him, because I talk about him and John McGinn. I can't see anyone in football that could replace them with the money that we'd get for them, sort of thing. I mean, if they were playing for a Barcelona or Real Madrid, I think honestly they would be worth £150 million. But because they're at Aston Villa, you're probably paying half of that. I mean, if you gave me £150 million for the two of them, I would struggle to find replacements that could do the same sort of job that both them players can do.
And I look at Jack Grealish, and I look at him, and I think that he can get into any team in the Premier League. I think maybe bar Liverpool at the moment. I think he can get in pretty much any other side. And I think that us not signing him for 25 million is a massive, massive mistake, because that is a steal for a player like him at the moment, especially looking at how he's played this season. Yeah,
he's got so much talent. I mean, I've never, in all my time, I mean, I've seen Messi play, I've seen Ronaldo play, but for me, I've never seen someone that can get round an opponent so easily. When I watch him play, you know what he's going to do. And I remember when we had Robert Snodgrass on loan, you always know he's going to cut in on his left. With Grealish, you always know what he's going to do, but somehow he still gets around his opponent. Yeah. And I feel like he's actually quicker with the ball than he is without it. And he's got, people relate him to Gascoigne. I mean, he's got a long way before he gets to that sort of talent, but he's so good. And without him this season, I mean, if you were to say we'd have kept McGinn injury-free and Grealish would have got injured, I think our season would have been over. Because people at the start of the season were like, John McGinn this, John McGinn that. Yeah, he was adding the goals, but it's the overall impact that Jack Grealish has on our team. And honestly, my time of it, I've never seen anyone like him as a player. He really is just fantastic.
I feel he's got you out of jail a lot of times this season. But let's move on to Tottenham. As a Villa fan, watching Villa week in, week out, I'm not sure how much you see of Tottenham, but what are your thoughts on Tottenham? Obviously, after reaching a Champions League final last season, sacking Pochettino this season, hiring Mourinho, from an outsider's point of view, what are your thoughts? How do you think we've been doing?
I was surprised by the sacking of Pochettino, because the way that I looked at it, Pochettino had a project at Tottenham, and you would argue it worked to an extent, getting you to a Champions League final, and I honestly thought this season that you'd really kick on. For me, and Ndombele is going to be a fantastic signing. I think he really will. I mean, I've seen a fan's opinion recently that said he looked like he'd been to McDonald's just before the game or something like that. But he will be a fantastic player. Lo Celso, I'm not too sure on.
I tell you, Lo Celso is bloody brilliant.
Yeah, well,
he is absolutely brilliant.
I don't see him enough to make an opinion. Bergwijn, obviously, on his debut, scores a goal.
Yeah.
I was just really surprised, though, by the sacking, because I thought Pochettino was really building something, and he went for a rough patch, but every manager does that, and I think to get rid of him was really harsh, but, I mean, you've got injuries at the moment. I mean, Harry Kane's out, Eriksen's just left. I mean, not having a centre-forward will help us massively, I think, at the weekend, but you've got dangerous players up front. You've got Lucas Moura, you've got Bergwijn now, you've got Son, and he's the danger man for me, really. I know he hasn't played well in recent weeks, but
still scoring goals,
and he's always a threat. And he's another player where I don't really think you know what he's going to do, but he's another player as well that I think of, no matter where he is, he'll always hit the target with a shot. And if you don't hit the target, you're not going to score. And I think that's the sort of player that he is.
And moving on to the game this weekend, obviously, it's a big game for both clubs. Really is. It's so tight there at the bottom of the table. You know, just one win really just does so much for you, and one loss kind of just keeps you in there because everyone's losing, everyone's winning week in, week out. So if you put 2 or 3 results together in a row, you know, that really, look at Everton. You know, they were 17th or 18th about 3 weeks or whatever it was, 4 weeks ago, and now they're 1 point behind us. So, you know, the table was so tight. But looking at the game this weekend, are you confident that you can get a result? How are you feeling? How do you think you're going to set up and that kind of stuff?
I think we need to make changes from the team that played against Bournemouth. I think we've just found out that Keenan Davis is going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks, who's a young striker that sits on the bench normally. But he has a massive impact coming off the bench. He doesn't score many goals. He's only scored 3 times, I think, for us. But he's so strong and he just bullies defenders. And I think not having him coming on is going to be a massive hindrance for us. I know that the new signing, Aston, might be making his debut, coming on off the bench if we need a goal. I'm not nervous for the game as such, because I think there's more pressure on Tottenham at the moment because going for top 4. But you've always got to be wary of Tottenham's players. I mean, you obviously are clearly a better team than us. But I'm quietly confident about the game because I've seen you in recent weeks and I've seen sometimes you play the long ball. I think with the likes of who you've got up front, I mean, if we play our strongest defence, we're quite tall and quite physical at the back there. We've always got a mistake in us, but I think we can make the game play into our hands, and I think we need to use set pieces against you massively because we're quite a big team. We don't score many headed goals. We only scored our first against Bournemouth. But being a small team, apart from your defence, I think we really do need to take advantage of that.
And how do you feel like you're going to set up? Because you mentioned that you played a few different styles this season. How do you think it's going to set up?
I think it'll be a 5 at the back again. For me though,
is Tyrone Mings fit?
He is. For me, when you play 5 at the back though, it just means that your defence is quite poor. Yeah. Because the only teams really that play 5 at the back is when you need more cover there. Mings will be playing. Ezri Konsa's back fit as well, who's a very good player. He was a great bit of business getting him in from Brentford. For me though, I feel like Engels needs to come back in. Courtney House recently, really, really poor. He's a real physical defender, quite big, quite strong, but his ability on the ball is quite poor. And at times in recent weeks, he's been costing us goals. And I feel that Engels needs to come back in because he looks so much more composed when he's on the ball. And he's played at quite a high level in France and in Belgium as well. And I think at a Champions League stage. So I think he needs to come back in. And it'll probably be another sort of 2 in the midfield. I mean, probably Nakamba. And then the option is who do you play, Danny Drinkwater or Douglas Luiz? My dilemma is Douglas Luiz, when he starts, sometimes can't get up to the pace of the game. Yet whenever Danny Drinkwater plays at the moment, he just looks completely off the pace. But so that's a really tough one.
When you sit on the bench for so long, you know.
Yeah, he hardly played any games, but he got thrown in at the deep end against Man City, and we all know that
was.
It was poor
the media
management.
Picked up on that one for sure.
Yeah, that was definitely poor management. That one. The main thing really is also who plays on the wing. Do you go with Trezeguet or do you go with El Ghazi? I mean, whenever Trezeguet comes on, scores the winner in the League Cup semi-final, people think, Trezeguet's got to play. But whenever he plays sometimes from the start, even when he scores, he doesn't do enough, I don't feel. Whereas El Ghazi maybe has more to his all-round game. Bit taller as well, so maybe he's going to have a better battle up against your left-back. It's clearly going to be Grealish on the left, and I think him going up against Aurier for 90 minutes, I think that could be a crucial one. And it'll be our new striker, Samata, up front. He needs to be more energetic, though. I mean, I've seen him in a couple of games, Leicester and Bournemouth, and he shows glimpses of quality. I mean, he holds the ball up really well. He's got a leap on him, and I think, given the chance, I think he will score. But at times when teams play it around the back and Grealish urges players forwards, we need to press, I think, a lot better. And we need to press as a team as well, because when you press as individuals, the ball just gets passed around you and you just get tired. So
you have to hunt in packs.
Yeah, so fingers crossed, we'll get our tactics right and we might be able to get a result against you.
Well, if you play anything like you did again when you came to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, you've got every chance of getting a result, especially if we play like that. But, you know, it's a completely different animal I think you're facing now. Then was like Pochettino's Tottenham and the end of Pochettino's Tottenham, which was not great at all. I think Mourinho's Tottenham, in recent weeks, I think we've been getting results, which is the main thing. We haven't been playing that brand of football that we played under Pochettino, but we're getting the results over the line, which is what we need to do to make top four. That's all you need to do. So I'm going to ask you to put your neck out on the line. What's the score going to be?
I'm going to back us and I'm going to go 2-1.
2-1?
I think we'll definitely concede because I think at the back we're very dodgy. But no, I'm going to put my neck on the line. I will say that we'll win. I think that there's more riding on the game for you, but I think that could also play into our hands. And I think Grealish, once again, has got another point to prove.
100% he's going to score.
I think he's got a point to prove against you still of why didn't you sign me last summer. But I'll say 2-1.
All right.
I'm feeling confident.
I'm going to go 2-1 as well, but I'm going to go 2-1 the other way. I do think it's going to be a tight game. It's not going to be like a very one-sided game either way. I think it's going to be very tight. I think it's going to be just one goal in it. And I think that if we get the early goal, I do think that we might be able to go on and win the game comfortably. But I don't think we're going to get that early goal. I think it's going to be...
That's key for you, that is.
It's very key for us. I think it's going to be tight at the beginning of the game, probably 0-0 at half-time. And then we could see a couple of goals in that second half.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for coming on, George.
You're very welcome.
This is Villa Fan, so if you want to check him out, his Twitter link will be in the description below. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.
Up the Villa.